Welcome to our module on digital literacy and GDPR. In this presentation, we will introduce you to the General Data Protection Regulation, widely known as GDPR. This presentation is designed to provide you with a foundational understanding of GDPR, its objectives, and its key principles. We will also explain the concepts of personal data and sensitive personal data. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify the key principles and objectives outlined in the GDPR. Throughout this presentation, we will explore several important topics. We will start by discussing the background and creation of GDPR, followed by a comprehensive explanation of what GDPR entails. We will then examine the key objectives of GDPR, along with its scope and applicability. Following this, we will delve into the key principles of GDPR and provide a thorough understanding of both personal data and sensitive personal data. Additionally, we will analyze how GDPR specifically addresses sensitive personal data and conclude by looking ahead to the future of data protection and privacy. Thank you for joining us. Let's begin our journey into understanding GDPR. The General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, was introduced to address several key challenges in our digital age. Rapid technological advances such as the internet, social media, and cloud computing have led to an unprecedented surge in the volume and complexity of personal data. The previous Data Protection Directive allowed for national variations, resulting in fragmented and inconsistent data protection laws across the European Union. Growing public concern over high-profile data breaches and the misuse of personal data has heightened awareness and concern about privacy and data security. There was a clear need for stronger protection and harmonization of data protection laws. GDPR aims to enhance individuals' privacy rights and create a unified legal framework to ensure consistent and robust data protection across the EU. The General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, evolved from the Data Protection Directive 95/46/EC, adopted in 1995. This directive aimed to protect individuals' privacy and ensure the free movement of personal data within the EU. However, it allowed for national implementations, resulting in a patchwork of different laws across member states. With the rapid rise of the internet, social media, and cloud computing, the directive quickly became outdated and insufficient for the digital age. Recognizing the need for reform, the European Commission proposed a new framework in 2012. After extensive negotiations, the GDPR was adopted in April 2016 and became enforceable on May 25, 2018. This new regulation replaced the old directive and unified data protection laws across the EU, providing stronger, more consistent protections for individuals' privacy in the digital era. The General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, is a legal framework established by the European Union to protect the privacy and personal data of individuals within the EU. Effective from May 25, 2018, GDPR aims to harmonize data protection laws across member states, giving individuals more control over their personal data and simplifying regulatory compliance for businesses. GDPR applies to any organization that processes the personal data of EU residents, regardless of the organization's location. Key features of GDPR include enhanced individual rights, stricter consent requirements, mandatory breach notifications, and significant penalties for non-compliance. The General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, was established with several key objectives to protect individuals' privacy and enhance data protection standards. First and foremost, GDPR aims to protect individuals' privacy rights by empowering them with enhanced control over their personal data. This includes the right to access, rectify, delete, and port their data. These rights ensure that individuals have a significant say in how their personal information is handled, providing them with greater security and peace of mind. Secondly, GDPR seeks to harmonize data protection laws across the European Union. By unifying these regulations, GDPR ensures consistent data protection standards and simplifies compliance for businesses operating in multiple member states. This harmonization eliminates the complexities and inconsistencies that previously existed, making it easier for organizations to adhere to a single set of regulations. Another crucial objective of GDPR is to enhance transparency and accountability. Organizations are required to be transparent about how they collect, use, and store personal data. They must provide clear information to individuals about their data processing activities and implement measures to demonstrate their compliance with GDPR. This transparency builds trust and ensures that individuals are well informed about how their data is being used. Strengthening data security is also a major focus of GDPR. The regulation mandates robust data protection measures to safeguard personal data against unauthorized access, breaches, and cyber threats. Organizations must implement appropriate technical and organizational measures to ensure data security and integrity, thereby protecting individuals' data from potential risks. Lastly, GDPR promotes international cooperation in data protection. It sets guidelines for the transfer of personal data outside the EU, ensuring that such data is protected regardless of where it is processed. This fosters international cooperation in data protection and promotes global data privacy standards, encouraging countries around the world to adopt similar regulations. In summary, the key objectives of GDPR include protecting individuals' privacy rights, harmonizing data protection laws across the EU, enhancing transparency and accountability, strengthening data security, and promoting international cooperation in data protection. The General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, has a broad scope and applicability designed to protect the personal data of individuals residing in the European Union. GDPR applies to any organization, regardless of its location, that processes the personal data of EU residents. This includes companies that offer goods or services to EU residents or monitor their behavior within the EU. Additionally, non-EU organizations that handle the personal data of EU residents must also comply with GDPR. This extraterritorial applicability ensures that the data of EU residents is comprehensively protected worldwide. Both data controllers and processors are required to adhere to GDPR's regulations, guaranteeing robust data protection and privacy standards. The General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR, is built on several key principles designed to protect individuals' personal data and ensure its proper handling. First, the principle of lawfulness, fairness, and transparency mandates that personal data must be processed legally, fairly, and in a transparent manner. Organizations are required to provide clear and accessible information about their data processing activities to individuals. Second, the principle of purpose limitations specifies that data must be collected for explicit, legitimate purposes and not further processed in ways that are incompatible with those purposes. This ensures that personal data is used appropriately and only for its intended reason. Third, data minimization requires that only the data necessary for the specified purposes should be collected and processed. Organizations must avoid the collection of excessive data, focusing only on what is essential for their needs. Fourth, accuracy is crucial. Personal data must be accurate and kept up to date. Any inaccuracies should be corrected or deleted promptly to ensure that decisions based on the data are reliable and fair. Fifth, the principle of storage limitation dictates that personal data should be kept in a form that permits the identification of individuals only for as long as necessary for the purposes for which it was collected. Once the data is no longer needed, it must be securely disposed of. Sixth, integrity and confidentiality require that personal data be processed in a manner that ensures its security. This includes protection against unauthorized or unlawful processing, accidental loss, destruction, or damage. Organizations must implement appropriate technical and organizational measures to secure personal data. Finally, accountability is a cornerstone of GDPR. Data controllers are responsible for ensuring compliance with the regulation and must be able to demonstrate this compliance through appropriate measures and documentation. This principle requires organizations to take responsibility for their data processing activities and to be able to show evidence of their compliance efforts. In summary, GDPR's key principles include lawfulness, fairness and transparency, purpose limitation, data minimization, accuracy, storage limitation, integrity and confidentiality, and accountability. Together, these principles ensure that personal data is handled responsibly and securely, providing robust protection for individuals' privacy rights. Personal data refers to any information that relates to an identified or identifiable natural person, known as the data subject. An identifiable person is one who can be identified directly or indirectly by reference to identifiers such as a name, identification number, location data, or online identifier. Examples of personal data include names, addresses, email addresses, identification numbers, IP addresses, and cookie identifiers. It also encompasses telephone numbers, job titles, and even photographs and video footage. Essentially, any data that can directly or indirectly identify an individual falls under the definition of personal data. Sensitive personal data, also known as special category data, refers to specific types of personal data that are considered more sensitive and require additional protection. Examples include information about an individual's racial or ethnic origin, political opinions, religious or philosophical beliefs, and trade union membership. This type of data is deemed sensitive because it poses higher risks to individuals' privacy and can potentially lead to discrimination. Therefore, it requires more stringent safeguards to ensure its protection and to uphold individuals' rights. Further examples of sensitive personal data include genetic data, biometric data used for identification purposes, health data, and information about an individual's sex life orientation. Genetic data refers to information about an individual's genetic characteristics that can uniquely identify them, such as DNA. Biometric data includes information related to physical, physiological, or behavioral characteristics used for identification, such as fingerprints or facial recognition. Health data encompasses information about an individual's physical or mental health, including medical history and treatment. Due to their sensitive nature, these types of data require stringent protections. GDPR provides enhanced protection for sensitive personal data through several key measures. Firstly, processing requires explicit consent from the data subject, meaning consent must be specific, informed, and unambiguous. Secondly, processing can occur under specific legal bases such as employment law, vital interest, public health, or when the data subject has made the data public. Thirdly, data protection impact assessments or DPIAs are required for processing activities likely to result in high risks to individuals' rights and freedoms. Additionally, GDPR mandates data protection by design and by default, ensuring that only necessary data is processed from the outset. Lastly, organizations must report data breaches involving sensitive data to authorities and affected individuals within 72 hours. The future of data protection and privacy will be shaped by several emerging trends. The increasing use of artificial intelligence and machine learning presents new challenges for data protection, particularly concerning automated decision-making and profiling. Advances in technology will necessitate ongoing updates to data protection regulations to effectively address these issues. Additionally, GDPR has set a global standard for data protection, influencing laws in other regions such as Brazil's LGPD and California's CCPA. The principles of GDPR are being adopted worldwide, promoting higher data protection standards and encouraging international cooperation in data privacy. This ongoing evolution ensures that data protection regulations remain robust and relevant in the face of rapidly advancing technology. In this presentation, we address the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and its creation to tackle the challenges posed by rapid technological advancements, fragmented data protection laws, and growing public concern for privacy. GDPR offers a unified legal framework across the EU, enhancing individual privacy rights through principles like lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. It applies to any organization processing the personal data of EU residents, with strict conditions for sensitive data and robust security measures. Globally, GDPR sets a benchmark for data protection, promoting international cooperation. The future of data protection will continue to evolve with emerging trends like AI and cybersecurity. For more detailed information, please refer to the following sources used in this presentation. Thank you for participating in this presentation. We hope you found the information on GDPR insightful and valuable. Should you have any further questions or need additional resources, please feel free to reach out.